Welcome to the first episode of Nathanchu's Disney Review. In this show, I'm going to review anything and everything Disney. Why? Because I love Disney and I like to give my spin on what I think everything is for it. Now, this first episode is going to be an overview of Disneyland, which is my favorite place to go. It's going to be a quick one. I'm not going to go into too much detail of each of the lands just because that would be a really long first episode if I was to actually do that. Now, what made me decide to do all these reviews, is seeing all these other reviews that people do online, all these other little internet shows, and I thought, well, I got an opinion on some of these things. I agree with some of them, disagree with other ones, so I decided to start my own up, put my own little spin on the whole thing. Well, hopefully you like my show, and here it goes. Disneyland. It opened on July 17, 1955. It opened up with 4 lands and Main Street, USA. Those 4 lands were Frontierland, Fantasyland, Adventureland, and Tomorrowland. It only opened up with 17 attractions. Today it has over 60. Now, instead of going into detail on each land, I'm going to save that for a later episode. Instead, I'm just going to do an overview of all the lands. Well, we'll start with Main Street, USA. There you have the train. It's been a staple of Disneyland since it opened. Now, the train was Walt's love and went all the way around the park. It only had 2 stops back then. It had the Main Street stop and then the Frontierland stop, which eventually became New Orleans Square stop. Now we go down Main Street and we see the castle. The castle is based off of Sleeping Beauty, built 4 years before the movie was even released. So it doesn't look exactly like it does in the film, but it still looks great. We'll go first into Adventureland, which only had the Jungle Cruise when it first opened, which is my favorite attraction in that area. I know Indiana Jones is great, Tiki Room I love too, but Jungle Cruise is my personal favorite. Back then, it used to be a serious ride based off the true life adventures done by the Walt Disney Studios. Now it has come to be a comical joke, which is all I've known, and I do love the ride for it. I laugh and applaud even when other people don't, and hopefully the skippers appreciate it. Now we'll move on to Frontierland. This land has changed a lot since opening day, because there used to be pack mule rides, stagecoach rides, the Mark Twain, which is considered Frontierland, which is still there. I believe it's the only thing besides the Tom Sawyer's Island, which is now a different name. It goes by the Pirate's Lair on Tom Sawyer Island. The Mark Twain I love. It's a ride I don't go on that often, but I should, because I enjoy just sitting there and relaxing and just watching everyone on the river and just floating on, seeing all the animatronics that go along the river. But my favorite ride in Frontierland is Big Thunder Mountain. Granted, yes, there is only a few rides there, but I love this ride. I was so sad when it was down for about a year, but it is a great ride, great thrill, great animatronics throughout the whole thing. Now let's move on to Fantasyland. Fantasyland is, as Walt said, the heart and soul of Disneyland. It's based off a bunch of the animated movies that Walt Disney has done. You even got a little mini Alice Land in there now. My favorite ride in there has to be Mr. Toad. I just love Mr. Toad. It is the untypical Disney ride, and where else can you say in Disneyland that you die and go to hell at the end? When I was younger, I used to never be able to see that part because I was told to close my eyes. Prayed for the frightening images there at the end. This land has also seen a makeover in 1983 from used to be a medieval fair. It is now based off a Bavarian village, kind of similar to what is in Pinocchio, which also gave them the Pinocchio ride and Village Haas restaurant, which helped complete the theme. I do love the Matterhorn. I did not pick this one as my favorite, even though I love this ride a lot, because I did not pick the Matterhorn as my favorite ride, even though I love it so, because I never really went on there until a few years ago. No one ever really wanted to ride it with me, and I was still kind of scared of roller coasters. Then we move on to Tomorrowland, probably the land that has changed. It is probably the land along with Frontierland that has changed the most. With the exception of Autopia, there is no attraction left from when it first opened. My favorite ride in there has to be, as much as I'm a Star Wars nerd, it has to be Buzz Lightyear. I just love the interactivity you have shooting it and being competitive with the person next to you on the ride. It's just a great feeling when you win, which most of the time I do. And there's also little hidden secrets that are out there that you wouldn't know unless someone has either told you or maybe you discovered them by accident. Now we'll move on to lands that weren't built there in 1955, New Orleans Square, which has Pirates of the Caribbean and Haunted Mansion, two great classic attractions. Now, it's hard for me to pick between the two, which I love, because I do love both theme songs that are in there. You got A Pirate's Life for me, and you got Grim Grinning Ghosts. But I'm gonna have to give the edge to Pirates of the Caribbean. It's just it's just a classic ride, one that we always rode. It was one of the first three we always did when we went in the park. Used to always be go straight to the left, Jungle Cruise, Pirates, and Haunted Mansion. This was in the time before fast passes, so you didn't have to go and rush for a fast pass anywhere. I also love the ride because there's so many little things you could look at. I try to find something new every time, and I almost do. There was even a small period in time when there used to be a little Lego Jack Skellington hidden on one of the treasure chests. It was a great thing to try to find. Then we'll move on to Critter Country. There's only two attractions there, and that's Splash Mountain and Winnie the Pooh. For favorite attraction there, I would have to go with Splash Mountain, even though I really am scared of the drop at the end and scream like a little girl. But I love all the animatronics on the inside. They're just great to look at, seeing all the little movements here and there, and the song gets you into it. And then once you hit that lift at the end and the music switches and it sets you up for that drop, plays more into your fears if you have them for that drop. It's just a perfect attraction, just unfortunately I'm scared of that drop at the end and don't ride it as much as I probably should. I do miss the Country Bear Jamboree. That was my favorite attraction to go to over there. I used to go to it every time, and then one time when I went, it was closed. I didn't know. I was really saddened by it. Now we'll move on to Mickey's Toontown, the area of the park that a lot of people dislike and say should be changed, should be gotten rid of. There's two rides in there, and that's Roger Rabbit and Gadget's Go Coaster, which most people probably don't know who Gadget is anymore. But I'd obviously have to go with Roger Rabbit. I love that ride. The queue line is great in all its visuals in there. Keeps entertained for the most part. And a lot of little hidden things in there if you know where to pick them out. I think Toontown has its place, as much as people go hate on it. It's meant for the younger audience and the younger at heart. And should be, it should be livened up a bit, I believe. Maybe if there is room, add another attraction in there. But I love it for what it is. I don't think it needs to be taken out of the park in any means. I love how that you can walk around and see different characters walk around, Most of them are always signing autographs, but it's great when you see a character just doing its thing. That is probably the funniest thing to watch. I remember sitting there one time when they had long lost friends there, and they had a horse collar and Clarabelle Cow there, and the guy was playing the piano, and no one was really in line to see them. This area was in the back of the park, back near Big Thunder Ranch, so not very many people were there. And all of a sudden, Horace and Clarabelle just started dancing, going with the music. It was just great to watch. And like little things that you may do, like if you see the evil stepsisters, if you tell them, "Hey, you have a marvelous singing voice," they'll go on and start singing for you. They will sing "Sweet Nightingale," and it's hilarious to do that. It's crazy to think that Disneyland was all started with an idea Walt had because he wanted somewhere to go where he can actually play with his children instead of just sitting there watching them go around on the merry-go-round in Griffith Park. But I'll go more into detail about Disneyland in later episodes. I hope you enjoyed this first episode, and there will be many more to come. And if you like this episode, please hit the subscribe button. You can follow me at Nathanchu at Twitter. You can email me at nathanchu@redbuttonjamfest.com. And you can follow me and other videos if you go to redbuttonjamfest.com. In the next episode, we'll review my favorite Disney animated movie, The Lion King. Have a good one. And remember, it's a small world after all.